Michael Jackson, although one of the most celebrated artists of all time, is also one of the most controversial. Talking about all of his controversies would take hours. So today I'm going to talk about the most obvious, his appearance. Even if you know very little about the King of Pop, you have probably pondered the question, just why and how did Michael Jackson's appearance change so drastically? Like, I wouldn't blame you if you thought these two were completely different people. So how exactly did Michael Jackson manage to go from this to this? Well, you're going to find out today on this episode of Caramel Drizzle TV. So like most African Americans, Michael Jackson was of West African descent, and you can clearly see that from his facial features. He had a broad nose, dark skin, and tight curly hair, which he grew into an afro. Everyone in his immediate family exhibited these features, apart from LaToya Jackson, who had fairer skin. Apparently they also have Native American ancestry, so that's why. In regards to the afro, this was the early 1970s, and the Black Power movement was in. The Jacksons were not militant, but any black person wearing their natural afro hair back then was supporting social change, as well as the Black is Beautiful phrase, which was coined during the Civil Rights movement. It was all about embracing your culture and being happy with yourself. You could say that this was the precursor to the natural hair movement we have now. So Michael maintained this look throughout his early life into young adulthood. His face obviously changed during puberty, but nothing too drastic. It wasn't until the late 70s that changes started to take place. Along with his brothers, Michael replaced his afro with the new hairstyle in vogue, the Jerry curl. This hairstyle is achieved by straightening the hair with a chemical called a relaxer. Spraying an expensive bottle of hairspray called Activator into the hair will provide a glossy sheen and bring the curly texture to life. The curl is often called a wash and wear hairstyle, meaning the wetter it is, the better it looks. Although African Americans had already been using hair relaxer for many years, it was mainly used to straighten hair. The Jerry curl still gave off an Afrocentric natural look. Not long after this, in 1979, Michael Jackson underwent his first rhinoplasty. Here you can see his nose is a bit more narrower, but overall it wasn't a drastic change. Michael claimed that his reasoning for doing this was due to an accident where he broke his nose. This, however, was debunked by his mother, who said it was a publicity stunt. The truth is, MJ was very self-conscious of his nose. In fact, he apparently despised it. This hatred was most likely caused by his father, who harshly criticized it. It was after his first plastic surgery that Michael's presumed obsession with perfecting his appearance began. Around 3 years later, during the Thriller era, he underwent the knife again, most likely because he wasn't satisfied with the nose. As you can see here, it's a little bit more narrower. Unfortunately, only a year later, tragedy struck during the filming of the now infamous Pepsi commercial. During one of the takes, one of the fireworks went off too early and set his hair aflame. Michael didn't realize this and he kept dancing. It wasn't until 10 seconds after that the crew rushed to take out the fire. Unfortunately, the damage had already been done. Michael suffered from both second and third degree burns, and this left him with bald patches. Even after many treatments, his scalp never fully healed. Instead of suing Pepsi, he asked them to fund the treatment. Many presumed that the relaxer in his hair caused the fire, as it's known to be highly flammable, but Michael denied this. And fun fact, although Michael Jackson was the face of Pepsi in the 80s, he actually hated the drink. In regards to his hair, Michael kept up the Jerry curl throughout the Thriller era. He would mainly just style it in different ways. Sometimes he would do a side part and other times he would make it very curly. So now we're in the bad era and quite a few changes happened. Hopefully you don't get too confused. Bear with me. So in 1986, Michael received his third nose job. According to a surgeon, Dr. Steve Hofflin, this was done because the second nose job left Michael with breathing difficulties, therefore it required further work. Although breathing difficulties is not uncommon among those who have gone under the knife, many people pointed out that his nostrils actually got even more smaller. Then out of nowhere, Michael Jackson had a cleft chin carved into his face. it was presumed that he had this done because of the tabloids. You see, although the 80s were undoubtedly MJ's prime, this didn't exempt him from the harsh critiques from the media. There were rumours about him being gay, that he was too androgynous, and some papers even published articles saying that Michael and his sister Janet were the same person. Yeah, crazy, I know. A cleft chin is commonly associated with masculinity, so that might be why he had it done. In regards to hair, unfortunately it only went downhill. Michael tried many treatments, such as one where a balloon is put into the scalp so it can expand, therefore allowing the hair to grow evenly, and he had several implants done. Unfortunately, none of these worked, so MJ went to the next best thing, wigs and hair pieces. I do want to point out that most of his hair during this era was his own. He just used clip-ins to hide the bald spot. Apart from that, Michael kept the Jerry curl and he grew it longer. It was during this time that he presumably had his hairline, eyelashes and eyebrows tattooed. And lastly, the most infamous change, his skin color. Okay, let's settle this now. Michael Jackson did not bleach. Whoever is still saying that today is lying. Obviously, this would have been the talk of the town in the 80s because people were saying he wanted to be white. The truth is, Michael Jackson suffered from vitiligo and lupus syndrome. Vitiligo is a long-term condition where pale white patches develop on the skin. It's caused by the lack of melanin, which is the pigment in skin. Vitiligo can affect any area of skin, but it commonly happens on the face, neck and hands. If you look closely at a lot of his pictures, you can see that MJ clearly suffered from this. In many behind the scene pictures, you can see that there was still a lot of melanin there. He just had an uneven skin tone. The reason why he appeared white in music videos, press images and in performances is most likely due to makeup and lighting. Michael was also very sensitive to light, which is a common symptom of lupus syndrome, as well as frequent skin rashes. All of this information is on the internet. It's always been there. People just like to make things up for clout. And in regards to his race, Michael Jackson has always identified as being black. He's always loved his race and his people, and he regularly gave back to his community. Okay, so during the Dangerous era, which was the early 90s, Michael kept getting retouches done to his nose. According to Dr. Wallace Goodstein, a specialist who worked with his surgeon, said Michael came in for procedures every 2 months. It was around 10 to 12 surgeries while I was there, he said in 2000. We can see that his nose was getting increasingly thinner. People also claim that his skin got whiter, but no, it was clearly makeup. Through the 90s, Michael had many more alterations done. This included eyelid surgery, cheek implants, and the overall shape of his face changed. It looked more square. According to Michael's friend, Uri Geller, he was changing his appearance to not look like his father. Michael also traded his signature Jerry curl for the wave Nouveau. His hair was more loose and stringy. Hair pieces and wigs were still used. The thing is, although this was a great look, MJ's natural hair was gradually looking less healthy. This was most likely caused by the excessive amount of relaxer he was using. Remember, Michael Jackson's natural hair was thick and curly, so maintaining this wavy appearance would take a lot of products. A lot of products that isn't good for the hair to begin with. The last time we would see Michael's natural hair was during the 1994 MTV Awards. After this, it was presumed that he had probably destroyed his own scalp. And from then on, Michael wore wigs full time, and this is obvious from the hairstyles he wore. From the long wavy curls in Scream, to the short bob in You Are Not Alone, and his infamous long lace front wig. In his later life, Michael kept having issues with his nose, most likely due to the amount of procedure he had done. There was a rumour that he wore tape because his nose was falling off, but this wasn't true. It's just customary for patients to wear it post-operation for 1 week, day and night, then only at night. I rebuilt his nose using fillers, Dr. Arnold Klein revealed in 2009. I used hyaluronic acids and they worked very well. It's an arduous procedure because you don't want to put too much in, and you have to do it exactly so you can flow the material so it's perfectly smooth. Before his death in 2009, it was said that Michael was having regular tissue filler injections in his nose to build up the areas, and he was bald. Overall, Michael Jackson may have had well over 100 surgeries done. Although to most people this would seem too much or excessive, this is fairly normal in Hollywood. Many celebrities have done much more. And heck, we live in a society where white girls are excessively tanning and altering their body to look black or racially ambiguous. None of the procedures Micheal had made him any less of a great entertainer. A black entertainer at that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Doing research for this was not the easiest. Anyways, don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you haven't already. And have a great day. Goodbye.